They say when making a YouTube video that you have to hook your audience in the first 5 seconds. So, there we are. I've had quite a few jobs in my time, the first of which I already told you about in my video, Delivery to the Naked Man. If you haven't checked it out already, link will be in the description. Come to think of it, I think this was my third job. I started working at a milkshake bar. And working here was a whole experience in itself. And to be fair, I learned an awful lot. Not so much about milkshake, but life lessons. This specific milkshake bar was a brand new business where all the owners had just been recent university leavers. As a result, they had that youthful drive to make the business prosper. I was hired at 17 alongside 6 other people around my age. This company had big dreams. They even told me on the first day that they eventually wanted to be as big as Starbucks. Well, that didn't happen. Things started out great. It was spring, the business was booming, I was looking at a good amount of hours and I was making some pretty decent money too. It sort of became a sensation in the city. They had a big board inside where they displayed every single flavour of milkshake they make, 100 in total. This ranged from your basics such as strawberry, mint, chocolate, but they then stretched it to some more interesting flavours. One example was peanut butter with Nutella and banana, which they call a chunky monkey. Essentially, you put your ingredients in the blender with about 3 to 5 scoops of ice cream depending on how thick you wanted it, then just filled the rest up with milk and got blending. They had a competition where the first person to try every single milkshake, all 100 on the board, got to make their own milkshake and called it what they wanted to. Let's just say I was the first person to drink all 100 milkshakes. Now, this is incriminating myself slightly, but most I didn't pay for. Being stuck around in the shop by yourself for hours on end meant I had a lot of free time on my hands just to make whatever concoction of milkshake I wanted. Would seem a little suspicious to rock up one day with a sheet saying I'd tried every flavour and I just happened to be a member of staff. I know they wouldn't have taken too kindly to it, but I know in my hearts of hearts I was the first person to do that. So yeah, suck it. Now, after summer passed and the weather started to get a little bit colder, it slowly got less busy and the owners realised that people don't tend to buy ice creams when it's cold. They tried many things to keep themselves afloat, such as cutting back on staff, sending flyers to every property within the city centre, and even got a costume made of a milkshake character who danced around outside the shop trying to get people to come inside. It wasn't the best of quality. At this point, they had cut back nearly every single member of staff with the exception of me. I was looking at working nearly every day. At that point, I basically ran the joint. The manager was also becoming more and more frustrated, and because of that, would take it out on me, and criticising every detail of my work, such as, "You're not blending fast enough, Tank Bank. You need to speed up, Tank Bank. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to manually spin the blades faster than what the blender does, so you can save your precious 2 seconds in doing so?" My manager was... a word I can't say because it will breach the YouTube community guidelines. You get the idea. This all came to a head one day when my manager came up to me, absolutely fuming. He was holding one of the milk cartons from the fridge and asked me why we had out-of-date milk. Confused, I couldn't really answer. We checked the dates of the milk every day and I swore I'd done it on this day also. He suspended me as a result and I got sent home. Suspended! This had never happened to me before, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. The milk was 2 days out of date, so I asked if I'm getting suspended, surely the staff that were working the day before should do as well, because they also failed to check the milk. My manager agreed and said that they would be as well, at least for the duration of them investigating this. Now, the person working the day before was one of the managers himself, and a few days later, me and my dad drove past the shop and we did a little bit of a recon mission. I peeked over the window and spied inside when we drove past. I could see that manager was working inside that shop. They lied to me. It wasn't long after that until they just let me go. It wasn't until quite a few years later that I realised that the milk had probably been planted just as an excuse to dismiss me because the business was really struggling at this point. After I left, things just got from bad to worse, as I was the one basically running the shop. I think they suddenly realised that they were in deep trouble, and it wasn't long afterwards that eventually the business closed for good. I haven't seen or heard from my manager since, but if you're watching this, Mr. Manager, I'm flipping you off if you don't realise. With hindsight, if I'd claimed the 100 milkshake prize, I would have made it out of diamonds, Kobe steak and rhino horn, because it would have been because this would have bankrupted the company just as quick. I suppose this whole thing had a silver lining. That life lesson that I said I'd learnt earlier was how to have a good judge of character, and that bad things do happen, but ultimately it's just another step on the ladder of life. I wouldn't normally badmouth a previous employer, but this is more personal than professional. It wasn't long after that I fell into a job at a small, not very well known company, but we'll save that story for another day. One video I really want to make in the future is some of the absolutely ridiculous, crazy customer stories I've had, but again, this is something I can talk to you guys about another time. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you all so much. We just passed 100 subscribers, which is awesome. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to go down below and hit subscribe. And for information as to how to be involved in my 100 subscriber special, be sure to check out my Twitter.